Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're continuing our study of the book of Galatians. And today, as we finish chapter 4, we're kind of finishing that section of chapters 3 and 4, where Paul goes full rabbi and uses all of his skill, all of his rabbinic training as the star pupil of Gamaliel in Jerusalem to, to make the irrefutable case to these Gentiles who have been deluded by Judaizing teachers into thinking they must keep the law of Moses, that the law of Moses has been fulfilled and has no claim on them. They are now under grace, not under law. And he's done such it's just awesome. It inspires awe to see him at work as a rabbi, to see him use the scripture as he was trained to use it for the cause of truth, to see him wield that tool. It's why he was called. It's why he was prepared by God in every possible way to do the work he is doing, because he has every possible tool he needs. He has his rabbinic training, his training in classical literature, his rhetorical training. He has his vocational training. Everything that he is good at, every tool he has mastered, God is using in order to share the gospel. Well, he's having to use the rabbi tool now, and he comes to an end. The rabbis were and are famous for their uses of allegory, to take Old Testament characters and situations and allegorically apply them to a current question or situation. And so he's not going to refrain from an allegory. He's going to talk about the difference between Sarah and Hagar, being an allegorical representation of the difference between the law and grace. The law being Hagar, the bondwoman, and grace being the free woman, Sarah, who delivered the child of promise. But we said earlier that although Paul uses the word adoption, not the word birth, he hasn't left the language of birth. We saw him use it last time when he used the language of childbirth, that he hadn't birthed them yet. He thought they'd been born, but have I not birthed you? I'm still in labor pains trying to get you to understand Jesus. And so the live delivery of these two sons, the son of the bondwoman, the son of the free woman, will be his the icing on this cake. It will be, the way he brings this line of reasoning to an end. And such a bitter pill to the Judaizers, if any of them were still there, to be compared to Hagar and Ishmael, and not to Sarah and Isaac. But it's quite clear that that's exactly who they are in this allegory that he uses. Okay, we're going to look at verses 21 to 31. Tell me, you who want to be under the law, do you not listen to the law? For it is written that Abraham had two sons, one by the bondwoman and one by the free woman. But the son of the bondwoman was born according to the flesh. The son of the free woman was born through the promise. Hagar's delivery of Isaac happened naturally, the way all human beings are born. A miracle was not required, but Isaac's birth required a miracle, and a miracle was provided because he's the son of promise, and God keeps his promises. And so we come back around to that primary covenant, the covenant with Abraham. He's made a full circle. It's just masterful the way he presents his arguments and out-rabbis the rabbis in these two chapters. The son of the bondwoman was born according to the flesh, the son of the free woman through the promise. This contains an allegory. These women are two covenants proceeding from Mount Sinai, bearing children who are to be slaves. Two women are two covenants, one proceeding from Mount Sinai, bearing children who are to be slaves. She is Hagar. Now this Hagar is Mount Sinai in Arabia and corresponds to the present Jerusalem, for she is in slavery with her children. But the Jerusalem that is above is free. So Mount Sinai versus Mount Zion. Not Mount Sinai and Mount Zion, but Mount Sinai versus Mount Zion. It's just genius the way he paints this picture. Um, um, but the Jerusalem from above is free. She is our mother. It is written, "Rejoice, barren woman who does not bear, break forth and shout, you who are not in labor, for more are the children of the desolate than the one who has a husband." And he's quoting Isaiah 54, which is a messianic passage looking forward to the blessings of the messianic age, but also looks backward and applies to Sarah, who was barren, but who was given a child anyway. And you, brethren, like Isaac, are children of promise. But as at that time, he who was born according to the flesh persecuted him who was born according to the Spirit, so it is also now. Now that's related right there in the book of Genesis, that when Isaac was a toddler, his big brother by 10, 12 years, um, Ishmael picked on him, and that's the reason Sarah insisted that Hagar and Ishmael be thrown out of the household. And Abraham threw them out of the household because God said, "Do what your wife tells you to do." God also provided, as we know, for Hagar and Ishmael, and made out of Ishmael a great nation as well. But he's not the child of promise. Um, but at that time, he who was born according to the flesh persecuted him who was born according to the Spirit. So it is also now. But what does the Scripture say? Cast out the bondwoman and her son, for the son of the bondwoman shall not be heir with the son of the free woman. So then, brethren, we are not children of the bondwoman, but of the free woman. I love the fact that he points out that the two sons did not inherit in the same way. They both were there to bury their father together, Isaac and Ishmael. But Isaac is the one who inherited his father's riches. God provided something else for Ishmael, and it's also important as we see that um, um, Hagar, who was an enslaved person, had no choice in the matter. She had no choice in the matter of whether she bore Abraham a son or not. She was given to him as property, because property she was in their eyes, and she had no agency whatsoever. And so he's being quite honest about the whole process of these two children being born, and the way these two women both became pregnant by the same man, one quite naturally, although with no agency involved, and the other one through promise. And it is just so accurate, so clear in all detail, that being saved by grace is being the child of the free woman, the inheriting the promise that comes through the child of promise. And he is just crushed and devastated anything they were told by these Judaizers from Jerusalem, or wherever they came from. He just completely and utterly crushed their arguments, which does not mean he's crushed their influence. We know that. And he does too, because he has a lot more persuading to do. But it's not going to be as a rabbi. It's going to be as their apostle and as their gospel preacher. Okay, we'll pick up with chapter 5 next time. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word.